This is in part a response to Gary's constantly declaring everyone else fake Christians. And it is also partly a response to his last drunken peasant's appearance. Because in addition to my other evidence that he is not a Christian, his last appearance has just given us a gem of vile to work with. After this video, you should have no doubts at all about where his loyalties lie. First, we will review a clip of a video he made after the appearance in an effort to justify his behavior and beg the drunken peasants to make him a permanent member. Because at the end of the day, all he cares about are views and his ego.
I want to let you guys know why I'm on the Drunken Peasants, because this guy right here, the host Ben, invited me on here. That's why I'm here. I'm on the show because he invited me on here. I'm his guest, okay? So that's why I'm on here. I didn't ask him to come on here. He wanted me to come on the show.
So, you are there because you were invited? You were invited and you couldn't say no? You were invited, and you wanted them to whore out your channel to get you more views? Rather egotistical, don't you think? Do you not possess a Bible? Because in my Bible, it says I am not to be around people like this. 2 Corinthians chapter 6 verse 14. Be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers, for what fellowship hath righteousness with unrighteousness? And what communion hath light with darkness? There is a big difference between being around those who do not believe yet, and those who actively reject God. And you have crossed the line between the two. Ephesians chapter 5 verses 11 and 12. Have nothing to do with the fruitless deeds of darkness, but rather expose them. It is shameful even to mention what the disobedient do in secret. Psalm chapter 94 verse 16. Who will rise up for me against the wicked? Who will stand for me against those who practice iniquity? Certainly not Gary, that's for sure.
How come you guys never advertise my channel? You always ask me to come on here, but you guys never advertise my channel.
Subscribe to G-Man. Go and subscribe to G-Man.
Yes. Which nobody did, but that's neither here nor there.
Which nobody did. That sounds a bit like your ego again. James chapter 4 verse 4. You adulterers. Don't you know that friendship with the world means hostility with God? So whoever wants to be a friend of this world is an enemy of God.
I asked this question because I know when I come on this show, it benefits them. And now they only got like, what did they get? They had like 1,000 live viewers when I originally came into the show. This guy gets it. This guy, Fridge, I'm going to try to contact him because I want to take some notes from him. He inspired me to try something a little bit different with my videos that I'm doing in the future.
Remember his adoration for Billy the Fridge. It's important later. Our next clip comes from a video entitled, I Like Going on the Drunken Peasants. Truth in 10 minutes or less. Keep in mind that he is making this second video defending his going on drunken peasants, because of how much pushback he got for it. Pushback from both Christians and atheists, after he sat through a very vulgar, blasphemous rap by Billy the Fridge, whom he adores so very much.
Hello everyone, and this is going to be Truth in 10 minutes or less. Just want to respond to some of these comments that I'm getting about going on the drunken peasants. First and foremost, I want to make sure everybody understands something. Whenever I go on the drunken peasants are the ones contacting me to go on their show. And I went on their show and I had a great time.
I bet you did. You expose yourself so very much with that one. 1 Corinthians chapter 10 verses 20 and 21. No, I imply that what pagans sacrifice they offer to demons and not to God. I do not want you to be participants with demons. You cannot drink the cup of the Lord and the cup of demons. You cannot partake of the table of the Lord and the table of demons. I know my take sounds extreme, but you'll understand in a moment why I say he is partaking in evil.
And I really enjoyed my time, and I'm going to go back on here when I get an opportunity. I'm even trying to attempt to be the fifth peasant on the show, or the fourth peasant, or whatever.
John chapter 3 verse 20. Everyone who does evil hates the light, and will not come into the light for fear that their deeds will be exposed. He is not a Christian. He never was, that much we knew already now. Now we have this act of blasphemous adoration, for the drunken peasants, and Billy the Fridge.
The second reason why I like going on the drunken peasants is because it gives me a bigger platform to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Well, let's see then, shall we? Let's see him preach the gospel of Jesus Christ. This next clip contains graphic language, descriptions of rape and vile blasphemy.
Yo, G-Man is retarded. Look at what you done started. Every time you open your mouth, it looks like you done farted with your words. You spit turds. Fucking Jesus. I'll butt fuck you and we butt heads like my name was Beavis. First of all, I'm the worst of all. Look at my bod. I'm fucking flabby. I'll put my rolls up on top of your God. Well, butt fucking your Lord. I'm giving the dick so hard. Whip out my cock and sword and cut his anus open. I'm fucking famous, broken God's fucking dick deep inside my mouth when he's sucking on my clit. I can lick God's butthole until God comes. Fuck your God in his butthole. I'm gonna rape God. I'm like the fucking Leviathan taking a shit in God's mouth. God is my whore. I'll fuck the Lord. He'll ask for more. Begging on his knees. Billy, please put your dick in my throat. I'm the Lord, but I would die on a cross for more of your fucking pecker. I love your pecker. I am God, Billy. I love your pecker. I wrote that song for you, G-Man.
Yeah, that's why he got the pushback. That's the person whom he said he liked and was inspired by. He goes on to kiss this guy's ass, even more in this video. This is why both atheist and theist alike were so disgusted with this last appearance. He sat through happily listening to a rap about raping God, and then said the guy was wonderful. Ephesians chapter 5 verse 11. And have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather approve them. You are not a Christian, Gary. No Christian would sit through that rap about raping God, and then call the guy inspiration, and continue to praise him, in 2 additional videos, after being called out by everyone for it. Ronnie and Veckel should be ashamed of themselves.
This is something the non-believing world will never understand.
Yet, the atheists who have called you out have the ability to understand that you should not be sitting there praising the guy who had a rap about raping God. It's almost like they have more Christian morals than you do, isn't it?
I absolutely love and I absolutely enjoy the opportunities that I get when I go on the show, because they are very ignorant when it comes to the Bible.
They aren't the only ones.
Got to laugh a little bit, got the not rap battle, but I'm going to be doing something with the free soon. I think that's going to be something interesting. But there's been a lot of reports and rumors coming out of the participants of the Lake of Fire, or the future damnation that they're going to endure in the Lake of Fire. There's reports coming out of them saying that, I'm a sellout.
Sellout isn't the word that Drag used. He used the word Zipcoon. A Zipcoon is a black person who is trying their best to please white people. A black person who is acting performatively or foolishly in a way that reinforces black stereotypes. A black person that is playing into the white hierarchy simply because it benefits them, thereby making themselves look like a fool. A minstrel archetype character first introduced in the mid-19th century. He is defined by his overly grandiose speech pattern, and his use of paronomasia and malapropism, which undermine his attempt to appear high society. He also said that listening to a rap about raping God was not very Christian at all.
Now, I do want to say this, though. I didn't sell out nothing. I was actually going there, and I took advantage of my opportunity when I had it.
Translation: he is in fact a Zipcoon and a complete fraud when he claims to be a Christian. No Christian would behave this way and happily brag about wanting to be made a permanent member after the rap about raping God, which for the record, he did not condemn.
That's what smart people do. I absolutely enjoy going to the Drunken Peasants. They had over 1,000 people listening, and over 1,000 people got to hear. I do want to say that if I get an opportunity tomorrow to go in there, I'm going. If I get an opportunity to go after that, I'm going to go, because it's an opportunity that I can't get in the GDC. The GDC and the Drunken Peasants, I got to talk for a long time. I got to talk for a good little minute, and I really appreciate about going on that show, that they attempt to have a show. There's no harm and shame in going on the Drunken Peasants.
The conclusion is obvious. Gary Moore, from New Jersey, is not a Christian. He never was. He has no bearing to judge anyone else. If he wishes to prove me wrong, he can meet me for a hangout on Suave Train Rex channel. And remember, folks,
because I don't really believe that God can do the things that he said that he can do in the Bible, nor do I see any scientific evidence that he actually exists. Because every time I get into a conversation with an atheist regarding the Bible, I end up getting embarrassed on YouTube.